Today we're gonna be talking about the newest update for Lightroom Classic. The most important feature, and it had to be like that these days, is related to AI. It's the newest denoise function, which, spoiler alert, works really well. There are also some updates in the masking system, curves, some interface changes, and some hidden tricks. Let me show you. Yeah, Manry, welcome to the channel, and let's start already with the denoise function inside Lightroom. Come here. So I've selected different kinds of pictures over here for us to test this. This shot here, for example, was a test shot and it's 8000, and you can see if I zoom in that it's quite noisy. And also this one here we're gonna test, which is at 3200. From far away you don't see that much, but when you zoom in you see that everything is very grainy. And you're gonna find that the new denoise function is in the same place as the older one, which is in the detail tab over here. And you can still use the old one by clicking on this arrow, and then you see the same controls that you had before, but now there's this new button called denoise. And as soon as you click it, it's gonna open up this dialog box, and from here you can understand that Adobe grouped the enhancement features in only one place. So this dialog box actually allows you to denoise the image, but also to use the super resolution if you wanted, but you can't do both at the same time. And the AI denoise is very simple with only one slider, the amount. On the picture, you can click to zoom using the cross, and there's also this minus here which you can use to zoom back out. So zooming in and clicking on the image, you can see the before and after, before and after. So your goal here is to find out what is the correct amount that is going to denoise the image without making it look too soft. And from the images that I've tried so far, I noticed that between 50 and 80% was perfectly acceptable and still kept a lot of detail. Let me show you on this one. If you go at 20%, you still have a lot of noise. If you go at 40, I don't see much color noise anymore, but there's still a lot of grain. 60 already seems like a very good spot. 80 begins to make the eyes a little bit softer, but it's still usable, so I would go somewhere around 60 and 80. I think 70 is looking pretty good, so I'm going to accept that. Here the only other option you have is to create a stack with the raw file and the new DNG that is going to be generated after this procedure. In this case I want to have them separate, so I'm just going to click Enhance, and this is quite GPU consuming, so it might take a while depending on how fast your computer is. Okay, it's done, and you can see that the new file is down here. This is the raw and this is the new DNG file. I'm just going to select them both and press C so that we can compare them side by side. Okay, let's zoom in, and the DNG file is on the left with the denoise applied, and the one on the right is the original one. And as you can see, it kept quite a lot of detail and eliminated a lot of the noise from the face. If we check here on the back, it's even more impressive. So the background looks pretty good, the face looks much cleaner this way, details on the clothes, everything looks very good. One thing that I noticed though is that in some places of the clothes in which the texture is a little bit more difficult to understand, it still kept a little bit of the noise, but it's exactly those areas in which you can't really realize from far away, seeing the picture like this. Let's go to a more extreme one with the ISO at 8000. So let's zoom in here, and you're gonna see that it has not only a lot of noise, but a lot of color noise all over. Let's hit D, go to the develop module, and let's just do the same, denoise. And just by looking at the preview, it's insane already what Lightroom is doing over here. Look at the difference. And even in this case, I'm not gonna go to 100% because I think it's totally unnecessary. I'm just gonna click Enhance. And as before, we have the DNG file on the left and the original one on the right. And the difference is just insane. On the face, you can see that it recovered a lot of detail without making it look too soft. And I was especially surprised with the quality of the detail on the hair over here. Just notice how it's still so sharp. And in parts like this one, for example, that had a lot of color noise, it totally disappeared and made it much smoother. I can only imagine that this new function is using the same AI intelligence that helps us select subjects to understand the parts of the image that actually have to be denoised but still keep some of the detail, meaning the subject properly of the photo, and the parts on the background that are already out of focus, and it won't make any difference if it's a little bit softer or not. And what is very interesting here is that if I get the original file, so let's grab this one over here, I'm just gonna go to the develop module, and instead of using the denoise function, I'm gonna use the old denoise function. So let me just pull up here the luminance, and let me zoom in to see what am I doing. Like this, I'm going to pull up the color denoise. Okay, so regarding color noise and noise, it's kinda controlled right now. But if I compare now the performance of the old denoise function with the new one, you can see that the new one makes it so much smoother and nicer and still keeps the details. Instead, the old one still has some of the noise, and if I go further than this, I'm just gonna blur her face entirely. So in general, new AI denoise function, very good. Compared to the old denoising function, much better. Let's check it also on a landscape picture to see what it does. This one was taken at 1600 ISO, and as you can see, there's some noise here on the sky and also on the structure. I'm just going to hit denoise. I'm going to leave it 80, enhance, and let's see the difference. And as you can see, super clean sky and very detailed structure still all over here, so it looks very, very good. Now, I didn't want to make this part of the video too long, but I compared Lightroom with at least one other software to see which denoise was better. And in this case, I chose Topaz Denoise AI to make the comparison. Let's check it out. Now here we've got Lightroom on the left and Topaz Denoise AI on the right. And despite the obvious luminosity and color differences, you can see that both of them do a very good job at eliminating noise and also the color noise. If I hold and click the mouse over here, you can see the before and after on Topaz, and the difference is very clear, but still I think that Lightroom managed to keep a little bit more of the sharpness of the original raw file in comparison to Topaz, especially on the hair part over here. So if I were to choose, I would still do the denoise inside Lightroom, which also makes my workflow a little bit easier by just staying inside the same software. But let me know in the comment section below what you think of these two and which would you use for denoising your own picture. Now, one hidden trick related to the denoise is that you can come up to Edit and go to Preference. And in this dialog box, if you go to File Handling, you're gonna find Automatically Add Keywords to Enhanced Images. And this is not gonna be ticked, you can tick it. And what it's going to do is that every time that you apply denoise or super resolution, here in the keyword list for an image, you're gonna find enhanced, and below you're gonna find denoise or super resolution ticked. This way you can filter your images using also the keywords. And talking about these enhancement features, what if you already denoise the picture, but you want to apply also the super resolution? If you come up here to photo and you go to enhance, now you're gonna see that the super resolution cannot be ticked. So after you apply the super resolution or the denoise, you cannot apply the other one to the same DNG file. And also denoise is not available for all kinds of raw files, it's only available right now for these ones. But I'm gonna leave a link in the description below for Adobe's website so that you can check whenever you're watching this video if they already updated this list and now you can use on some of the photos you've got. Now on to the second big update on this Lightroom version, which is the use of curves inside the masking. So for example, right now, if I come up here to the masking tools and I just select the subject, it's going to detect people, I'm just gonna click on her and I'm going to create a mask. And now once the mask is created, I've got the curves inside here. So not only the external curve that affects the whole image, which is this one over here, but also an inside curve for each of the masks. And you might think, when can this be useful? And especially in my case, I'm really gonna be using this when I'm affecting not only the contrast of an image using the tone curve, but also the colors by using the RGB curves over here. Because sometimes you want to apply a preset, but you don't want it applied to the whole picture because you don't want to change the color of something your model is wearing, for example. So here I created a mask for the model itself. I'm just gonna come up here and I'm going to select these three dots and I'm going to duplicate and invert mask. And Lightroom is going to create now one mask that encompasses everything but the model. And instead of applying my preset to the whole image, I'm just gonna come up here to the curve and I have also the curve presets down here. So I'm just going to apply this one and it's going to apply all the different colors and changes that I have for all the RGB curves only to the background without affecting the model. So if I come here and I hide the changes, you can see that the model stayed untouched. So like this, of course, I can come up to her and then just use another kind of curve. So maybe just doing an S curve over here or do whatever I want, but I can treat everything separately. And since we're here, another update we have is regarding the interface. And when you're in the masks panel, you can see that we have this eye icon that allows you to click and see the before and after of some change, or more precisely what a mask is doing. But another interesting change is that now you have the eye icons also up here on the develop module on the right. So whenever you change something here, you're gonna see that the eye icon turns on. So I'm just going to change here the highlights, for example. You can see that it's off, it's just grayed. And the moment that I change something, now it is white. I'm going to apply something also here, a strong contrast curve. And on the HSL, I'm just going to change the hue, for example, here of the background. And now we got all of these with this white eye icon over here. You can click and hold to see what difference is it making in the final image. And if you still want to access the switch that we had before, you can press Alt or Option on a Mac, and then you're going to be able to see the switches so that you can turn off completely an effect of something if you don't even want to use it anymore. And the moment you release Alt or Option, you're gonna see that the eye now has this line across it, meaning that it's not enabled anymore. And that's all in the sequence. I highly recommend you to watch this video over here. And don't forget to subscribe so that you can receive almost daily tips and tricks about photo and video editing. I'll see you in the next one. Ciao!